Hello, once again, and welcome back to Storytime with Wolf. I am your host, Wolf with Attitude. We last left off the beginning and induction ceremony. We are now returning into this chapter and more, as the true story of the history of the Mafia in the United States continues. The ceremonial performance of Tony Seturo through ceremony after he spent the next 2 decades learning from his made men associates. He had the typical induction into the American Mafia in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. This ritual modeled on secret passages with religious undertones was a ritual carried in Sicily by the Mafia far back in the 19th century, was intended for the vital passage for a wannabe, in code meaning a low-level soldier, a basic associate without any honors of the family, small petty crimes at best, to a restricted rank in the mob. But with that came restricted obligations. While this ritual was common throughout the country, in the New York area, the American Mafia acknowledged this capital. This was brought into the mob's most established gangs. The candidate was getting inducted, had first to be recognized by the capo or captain he was working for, and personally cleared by the ultimate leader of that family, the boss himself. The family's representante or boss. The final exam was the initial of the proposed soldier's identity to the leaders of the other 4 Borgattas, or 4 Mafia families, for vetting the soldier, making sure there wasn't any negative takes on the candidate, such as using any information against the boss or associates of the boss into any other family or law enforcement, to maintain the size and strength of the families, and to prevent any unauthorized expansions. A prospect member can only be added if there was a retired or dead mafioso in the boss's Borgatta. The recruit was never really told specific what was in store for him, or the date he would be straightened out or promoted on short notice. A recruit would be instructed to get dressed in mafiosi term, wear a suit and tie, in a very dapper manner, for an unspecified assignment. Already made members picked up the recruit in a secluded location and escorted to a designated area. A process known as cleaning would follow. These areas were always in a different location in order to avoid law enforcement surveillance. Maybe the passengers would switch cars in a public garage, just driving instead of taking a clear highway route. They go in block circles over and over, expanding into more side roads. This was all done to shake off any investigators that were trying to follow them on routine surveillance, all done out of precaution. Mostly cause high-ranking made men, and the boss would be in attendance. The shaking was to keep law enforcement away from such an event. Most inductions conducted by Tony Dux Corallo. When Corallo inducted Tony Seturo into the Borgatta, he questioned Tony Seturo. "Do you know why you are here?" said the round-shaped body, "Boss." And the candidate would reply no, even if he felt inside the meaning of the gathering of men. The candidate had to act in such a way, cause the meeting was supposed to feel like a close-guarded secret. Tony Seturo answered in a convinced manner to the boss Corallo. It was also used to prevent any leaks from someone deciding to turn to law enforcement to squeal the identity of any family members to undercover agents. In continuing, Tony Corallo explained to the younger Seturo, "You are going to be a part of this family. Do you have any objections?" Another member of the group circled around Seturo with a needle in his hand. This needle was used to prick inside the candidate's trigger finger until blood was extracted. The drop of his blood ended up over the picture of the saint. As the candidate held the blood-stained picture, another put a match to it, while Tony Dux made Tony Seturo to repeat after him, "May I burn, may my soul burn, like this paper, if I betray anyone in this family, or anyone in this room." After scattering the ashes of the saint's holy picture, Corallo, himself or his lieutenant, warned the new-made man his obligation to the family came before anything else, or anyone else, including people of his own personal family. The new inducted that has been sworn, no longer owed honors to God, country, wife, children, or close relatives, but only to the family he has been sworn into. In the case of Tony Seturo, now his full obligation was for the Lucchese crime family, the Borgatta. The oath given by the boss, Tony Corallo. Anything he says, from that moment on, must be fully obeyed, even if it meant neglecting everything and anyone else he cared for. At another ceremony, for Tommy Richarde, a sidekick for Tony Seturo, Tony Dux Corallo and his henchmen carefully explain about the family and the mafia's rules and protocol. The 4 principal rules of Omerta, the code of silence, that forbid any cooperation with law enforcement, such as informing, ratting on anyone in the underworld. A new button man or soldier remained obligated to listen to his capo who recommended him. Any illegal activities the soldier engaged in, as well as legal businesses, were put on record with the family's capo so the Borgatta can profit from illegal or legal activities had to be shared with the soldier's capo. Then a percent goes back to the soldier. Depending the mood of the boss, the earnings was sent directly to the boss, a father figure like in the family. This was a sign of respect, as well as the needs of the Borgatta. In business or social matters, only a made man from the Lucchese family and other Borgattas can be introduced to other mafiosi. In Italian, an amico nostro, translation, a friend of ours. With that being said, this concludes this episode of Storytime with Wolf. A recap of this episode. You have just gotten a lesson on how a soldier was inducted into a Borgatta, or family. In this case, Tony Seturo, he was inducted into the Lucchese crime family, one of New York's notorious organized crime families of the 5 Borgattas. Storytime with Wolf, and the story about the history of the mob in the United States. I am your host and narrator, Wolf with Attitude. More to come in the next episode. So, as always, and until then, La Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours. Peace out.
My house, my rule. Welcome to hell.